I'm not sure, but I think I found a den. However, it seems to be a human den. Quite nicely appointed. A swinging chair for the ladies, no doubt. Nice bench there, a stock of wood. A little bench here. Can of Stella, a can of cider. A little place to put your barbecue. And another stock of wood. And a nicely made blind. Very good. This is quite a comfy spot, so I think I'll just stop here for a bit. There's been a few people shouting about evidence for the existence of these cats, so I thought I'd just relate my own sighting story. And this happened back in January. Now, before I get into it, I'll have to change the start of it, but from the moment I start describing the cat, that's the story exactly as it happened. So anyway, it was January. We had the 4 days of snow, and we were actually off work because of it. So I was going out walking every day and that. So on the Friday, I was out in the afternoon and going along as I usually do, looking at the ground in case I see any tracks. I did actually see fox and badger tracks, so that's quite good. And I'm walking along, and then I lift my head up, and they're about 150 meters ahead of me, angling up into some trees, is this black cat. And the first two words out of my mouth were, "No way." And I looked at the body. Now what I could see was a black body, and I would say the body itself without the head and neck, 3 feet anyway. And down towards the back leg here, I was looking at its left side, I could see there was like a browny gold rosette shape. And there was also lines of this browny gold colour in its fur, ahead of the rosette and behind it on the leg. So I took that detail in, and then I looked at the tail, studied it. I could see it was a long tail, long as the body, a bit longer maybe, with a distinct curl on the end. So I looked back at the body. Yeah, that's definitely a cat. I could see the head then, and because it was angling up into the trees away from me, the head was kind of at an angle like this, but it was flattened, so you could actually see the outline of the panther-shaped head. Clearly a cat. I knew what I was looking at. So I looked back at the tail. Yep, that's definitely a long tail. Looked at the body again. I thought, I know what that is. I need to get close to that. Now, one little detail about the tail I'll tell you is when I first looked at it, there was a slight, like a ripple going along it. So slow that it was almost imperceptible. And the second time I looked at the tail, the ripple was coming back the way towards the body. And the other thing is that the cat was obviously stalking because it was down a bit low, and the way it was looking up like that. And you did see movements again, but the legs were moving so slowly it was almost imperceptible. So anyway, I'd no doubt it was a cat, obviously hunting by the way it was moving. So I thought, I've got to get close to that. So instead of going straight towards it, which may have alerted it, I decided I'd flank it. So what I did was I went out to its right, curved round there to the edge of the other end of the trees, and I got to there and started going into the trees. Now the ground's covered in snow, so there's a lot of crunchiness and there's branches and everything, so it wasn't very easy to approach quietly. So I sort of walk in a bit and then crouched down, and I thought, right, it's got to be here somewhere ahead of me. And I could see 2 or 3 birds flapping through the trees, and they were making alarm calls as well. So I thought, it's after one of those birds. And so I was down on one knee looking, and now when you're with the snow and the trees, it's kind of almost like looking at a black and white picture. So I'm looking at all this dark tree shapes and trying to think, where the hell is it? And then I saw this like shape of a back just behind a tree, and I thought, I think that's it. So I got up and I started to move towards it, and I only got 2 steps, and next minute you heard this commotion, like it must go up and turned, and then you heard the thump, thump, thump as it bounded away. Now as it's bounding away, I started to run to try and catch it, which was never going to happen. So I got to the point where it was, and I looked around, couldn't see it, and it appeared it had gone through a hole in a wall into a big gorse bank. So I thought, well, okay. So I walked over there. Nah, no sign of it, no sign. It must have cleared off pretty good. So I walked back and I was looking at the snow, and you could see where it had been bounding. You could see where the two back paws were together, and you'd have the front ones, more pressure on the back. But the ground was the snow was thawing, so it wasn't a great impression, but you could see the toe marks. So you could follow it where it had gone. So I thought, yeah, it did go through that hole in the wall. So that was the encounter. But typically, it happens when you've not actually got any equipment ready or with you, which is a bit disappointing. But one good thing that's come out of it is I saw colouring on it, markings. Now, something I've always been interested in is, from the start of this, is if I could identify a cat by markings or some physical feature, like I was thinking about, for instance, damaged toes or damaged pads. And if you saw the last video with the casts, you'll see what I was talking about, the potential of a damaged pad on that. So that was one way, well, a couple of ways I'd always thought might be possible to identify an individual. So now I know from seeing one, I can definitely do it by markings, as long as I see it from the left side. So that's fine. So I'll definitely know that one again. But that's about it. But it was a pretty intense few minutes anyway. And I got, before it ran, I could only have been about 30 meters from it before it up and offed. But the speed it went is like 1, 2, 3, it was gone. They're that fast. And there's no way, even if I had a camera, I couldn't have got the camera on it. Not a chance. I didn't even have my phone with me. And I did a little test some time ago, because people say as well, oh, but you've got your phone with you. You know, surely someone could get a photograph of it with the camera on the phone. So what I did was I put the phone in my pocket and just went, go. And I started to take it out and get ready to take the photograph. And that took me 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Any animal, deer, cat, dog, whatever, is gone. You're not going to see it or capture it on camera. So there we are. That was a good little encounter, and I was very surprised to see it. That was 1:30 on a Friday, last week of January. So that was good. I have seen what appears to be a juvenile. Oh, the midges are out. A juvenile puma, about a year and a half before that, in the county of Sutherland. I was driving along, but I'll maybe talk about that on another video. That was interesting. And I think that's it. As I say, I haven't been doing much else because there's other things I've had to attend to this week. But in the coming weeks, I'll be getting back out and about and having a good look around and checking trail cameras, and maybe we'll get something with trail cameras. Or more likely not. You know, just the usual deer, foxes, birds. Never what I'm wanting, but there you are. Alright, I think I'm going to go home now and get some tea.